Chevy just pulled a move that's got everyone in the auto world talking.
And so, I think it's a little bit longer game. We're taking all the steps to do it right to make sure we're positioned to have a full portfolio of vehicles and win. And we have said that, by mid-decade, we will be selling more EVs in this country than anyone else.
While other car companies are sitting on piles of unsold cars and sweating over how to get people to buy them, Chevy revealed a really brilliant strategy that's got even Wall Street buzzing and competitors like Ford and Stellantis scrambling to catch up. So, what's this big strategy? How's it going to help Chevy sell more cars? And more importantly, how's this going to affect you and your wallet? Join us as we take a look at this and more. First, let's set the scene. The car market's been a bit of a mess lately. Dealerships are packed with cars nobody's buying, and companies are stuck trying to figure out how to move them. And the whole thing is chaotic at the moment, and that has left many wondering who will survive. Just a few years ago, the situation was the exact opposite story. Car lots were practically empty because of supply chain issues, chip shortages, and all sorts of pandemic-related messiness. People were paying top dollar just to snag anything with wheels and an engine. Fast forward to 2025, and it looks like the tables have turned. It's officially a buyer's market again. What does that mean? Well, new car inventory has been climbing this year and has even surpassed historical averages. There are suddenly way more cars available than dealerships know what to do with. So what changed? One big, simple reason: price. The sticker shock is real, my friend. Trucks that cost over $100,000, SUVs priced north of $60,000, that's a hard pass for a lot of folks. And honestly, who can blame them? Instead of shelling out for a brand new ride, more people are sticking with their trusty old cars, keeping them on the road for as long as possible. Others are deciding to skip the headache altogether and hopping on public transportation instead. Now, just when the car market looked like it was heading for a crash, Chevrolet pulled off a masterstroke. But what exactly did Chevy do to create such a seismic shift? Let's break it down. While other automakers were chasing luxury dreams and stuffing their lineups with expensive high-margin SUVs and flashy electric vehicles, Chevy stayed laser-focused on something far more practical: the everyday buyer. Their strategy wasn't about glitz and glamour. It was about delivering real value without cutting corners. Models like the Chevy Trailblazer and Trax became game changers, offering a perfect blend of reliability and affordability. These weren't just budget-friendly vehicles, they were genuinely solid rides that fit the needs of families, first-time car buyers, and anyone who just wanted a dependable car without draining their savings. Meanwhile, competitors were pricing themselves out of reach, turning off a large portion of consumers who simply couldn't justify spending over $60,000 for an SUV. Chevy saw this gap and filled it brilliantly. Chevy knew that not everyone was looking for a bargain ride, so they kept premium options like the Silverado and Tahoe in their lineup for folks willing to splurge a bit. This balanced approach, catering to both budget-conscious buyers and those wanting a bit more luxury, was nothing short of genius. It gave them a broad customer base that competitors just couldn't match. Whether you wanted an affordable compact SUV or a rugged, feature-packed truck, Chevy had you covered. Another smart move Chevy made was to avoid the dealership drama that tripped up competitors like Ford and Stellantis. They maintained strong relationships with dealerships, ensuring they didn't overproduce vehicles that would just sit on lots gathering dust. This approach kept sales steady and dealers happy. But while Chevy was thriving, their competitors were faltering. So what went wrong for the rest of the industry? Sometimes the best move isn't about being the flashiest or the most expensive. It's about offering something that people can actually afford and will genuinely want to drive. That's exactly the kind of savvy thinking Chevy pulled off, while some of their competitors completely missed the mark. Let's be real, the whole go big or go home approach with luxury cars seemed like a winning strategy until it didn't. The problem, it was a one-size-fits-all gamble. Many big car makers like Ford and Stellantis poured a ton of resources into high-end models, fancy SUVs, and trucks with price tags that could make your jaw drop. But here's the kicker: when the economy starts tightening up, interest rates go up, and people are more careful about their spending, these expensive cars just didn't have the same appeal. It's almost like they completely overlooked the fact that most people want a reliable car that won't make their savings account cry. In a time when everyone's trying to save a little extra cash, dropping $50,000 on a new SUV wasn't exactly appealing. Meanwhile, Chevy had its finger on the pulse. While other brands were piling their bets on exclusivity and luxury, Chevy took a step back and figured out that it wasn't all about the high-end stuff. Sure, they kept some premium options for those who wanted to splurge, but they also made sure to offer something for everyone. And instead of betting the farm on making their vehicles as expensive as possible, Chevy focused on keeping things real and accessible. Take the Chevy Trailblazer and Trax. These two vehicles were affordable, practical, and hit the sweet spot for families, young professionals, and first-time car buyers. They weren't loaded with unnecessary frills. They were just solid, dependable cars that didn't break the bank. And here's the thing, they actually listened to what buyers wanted. When people started looking for more budget-friendly options, Chevy delivered, while others were still pushing those sky-high price tags. The smartest part of Chevy's strategy is that they didn't throw the luxury segment out the window completely. Chevy kept their eyes on the higher-end market with models like the Silverado High Country and Tahoe Premier. They understood that some customers were willing to pay more for added features, a bit of extra class, and that touch of luxury. But instead of staking everything on that, they balanced it out with affordable options that catered to a broader audience. It's like Chevy said, we'll meet you where you are, whether you want to spend big or save big. And that flexibility made all the difference. While their competitors bet on luxury, Chevy played the game by keeping accessibility at the forefront. And guess what? Consumers loved it. Chevy didn't just keep up with demand, they were out there creating it. With a lineup that catered to a variety of budgets and preferences, they stayed relevant even when the economy took a turn. At a time when other brands were sitting on mountains of unsold, overpriced vehicles, Chevy was moving their cars off the lots. The affordability and value Chevy offered made it the go-to choice for people who needed practical, reliable transportation. The Trailblazer's starting price was a lot lower than competitors' similar models, which meant it was a no-brainer for families or anyone just starting out. And when it came to performance and reliability, Chevy delivered without asking buyers to break the bank. So while Ford, Stellantis, and others pushed hard for luxury sales, Chevy stayed grounded. They didn't abandon the luxury game entirely, they just didn't make it the only game. And that turned out to be the winning play. By focusing on affordability, quality, and practicality, Chevy outperformed many of their competitors in both sales volume and, perhaps more importantly, consumer trust. As luxury-focused strategies fell flat, Chevy showed that understanding the market shift and adapting to it can make all the difference. Affordability wasn't the only ace up Chevy's sleeve. In fact, their cautious approach to electrification may have been just as crucial in securing their success during a time when the auto industry was charging headfirst into the EV revolution. While competitors bet big on the electric future, Chevy played it smart and steady, and it paid off big time. The electric vehicle buzz is real, no doubt. Brands like Ford and Stellantis have spent billions trying to electrify their fleets, with flashy models like the Ford F-150 Lightning and Stellantis' array of electric vehicles hitting the market. But while the ambition was high, the execution fell short. Ford's F-150 Lightning was supposed to be a game changer, blending the best of the legendary F-150 with electric power, but despite the hype, it didn't exactly set the world on fire. There were production delays, higher than expected price tags, and let's not forget the ongoing issue of charging infrastructure. Without enough charging stations and the right tech in place, the Lightning struggled to meet expectations. Stellantis too hit roadblocks. Their EV lineup, although impressive on paper, faced its own set of problems. Production delays, sky-high manufacturing costs, and supply chain issues. Plus, the market was still dominated by gas-powered vehicles, so their electric push didn't quite resonate with as many buyers as they hoped. Now, while others rushed into the EV game with all their chips on the table, Chevy decided to take a step back and keep a careful eye on the situation. Instead of committing to a full-throttle electrification strategy, they focused on maintaining a balanced portfolio. Their approach was simple yet effective. Keep their existing lineup strong while gradually introducing electric options, like the Silverado Electric and the Equinox Electric. This wasn't about making some massive leap into the unknown. It was about carefully timing their EV rollout, ensuring they didn't alienate their loyal customers while dipping their toes into the electric waters. By doing so, Chevy avoided the huge financial strain that their competitors were facing with overproduction and delays. The thing is, Chevy didn't get swept up in the EV frenzy. They knew the reality. EV technology was still in its early stages, with battery costs high and charging infrastructure lagging behind. Not to mention, consumers weren't exactly ready to jump ship from their reliable gas-powered vehicles. Not when EVs were still a bit too expensive and inconvenient for the average buyer. By gradually introducing electric models while sticking with gas-powered options, Chevy didn't just hedge their bets, they ensured they'd be around for the long haul. They were in a position to deliver steady sales from their traditional vehicles while slowly carving out a presence in the electric vehicle space. Now, this is where things get a little tricky. As the EV market started to explode, a lot of automakers were so caught up in the electric rush that they kind of neglected their gas-powered lineups. That left a pretty big hole in the market, one that Chevy noticed. So instead of following the herd, they doubled down on improving their gas-powered cars. And let me tell you, it paid off. While the world's been busy hyping up electric vehicles, Chevy made sure that their gas-powered models were still the go-to for a wide range of drivers. Take the Suburban and Tahoe, for example. These two bad boys are like the Swiss Army knives of the car world. They're perfect for families, businesses, and anyone who needs space, power, and practicality. Chevy didn't just keep these models around for the sake of tradition. They worked on making them even better, loading them up with the kind of tech that today's buyers expect without losing their core appeal. The result? You've got vehicles that are still as popular today as they were a decade ago. Chevy's decision to keep these vehicles in the lineup wasn't just about keeping the lights on, it was about making sure their customers had the right options. They're catering to those who aren't sold on electric cars just yet. Some folks are still hesitant to go electric for a variety of reasons. Concerns about charging infrastructure, questions about battery life, and the fact that the initial cost of an EV can be a bit of a stretch. Not to mention, a lot of people still like the reliability of a good old gas engine. Chevy understood that and kept their gas-powered models up to date, so they could keep meeting those needs while others were more focused on making the electric transition. Also, Chevy is prioritizing hybrid models and a continued focus on fuel-efficient gas-powered vehicles. It's a smart move, allowing them to satisfy the eco-conscious crowd while still offering practical options for consumers who aren't quite ready to take the leap into all-electric territory. Take the Chevrolet Bolt, for example. It was one of Chevy's earliest forays into the EV world, and it's been a success, getting plenty of praise for its affordability and practicality. But here's the kicker, it's just the beginning. The real challenge for Chevy lies in how they can expand their electric lineup without turning it into a pricing nightmare. We've all seen what Tesla has been doing with their aggressive price cuts, and that's shaken up the entire industry. It's put pressure on every other car maker, including Chevy, to figure out how to produce electric cars that stay accessible for the average buyer while still bringing in the profits necessary to keep the wheels turning. But Chevy isn't just focused on making their vehicles greener, they're also paying attention to how those cars are made. In addition to pushing for cleaner vehicles, they've been investing in renewable energy at their manufacturing plants. Imagine that, the cars being built with power from wind and solar instead of fossil fuels. Pretty cool, right? On top of that, Chevy is working closely with battery suppliers to ensure they're sourcing materials sustainably. It's all part of the bigger picture that Chevy is putting together for long-term success. However, here's the thing. These efforts need to scale quickly. The consumer demand for sustainable products is only growing, and regulatory pressures are ramping up as well. It's not enough to just have a few green initiatives here and there. Chevy's got to move fast to stay ahead of the curve, and that's going to take a lot of investment and innovation. Even as the electric market grows, let's be real, not everyone is rushing to make the switch. In fact, many buyers are sticking with their gas-powered vehicles because they offer what EVs can't just yet: instant refueling and widespread fueling stations, not to mention a more affordable initial cost. Chevy's move to focus on both sides, gas and electric, has allowed them to cater to a wider customer base, which means more loyal buyers, more flexibility, and a stronger position in the market. In the end, Chevy's strategy is all about balance. They've given buyers a solid mix of gas-powered vehicles while also preparing for the future with electric options. It's a smart way to hedge their bets while staying true to what people still want today. The key is understanding that there's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to the auto industry, and Chevy's ability to offer a variety of vehicles that suit different needs and budgets has been a big part of their ongoing success. The real question is, can Chevy keep this all balanced? Can they maintain their profitability while going full throttle into sustainability? If they can, that might be the thing that sets them apart from the competition. Because in today's market, it's not just about making a car that looks cool or drives fast. People want to feel like the companies they're supporting are doing the right thing for the planet and for future generations. Let's talk about relationships with dealers next. While many competitors were struggling to keep their dealer relationships strong, Chevy was building trust and reaping the rewards. In the auto industry, the connection between automakers and dealerships is everything, but for companies like Ford and Stellantis, these relationships were starting to show cracks. Overproduction and unsold stock led to overflowing dealership lots, forcing them to turn away more vehicles. This created a serious bottleneck, making it harder for them to meet sales targets and move inventory. Chevy, however, had a different approach. They managed to keep their dealer network happy by aligning production with demand. This meant that dealerships weren't stuck with unsellable cars taking up space, and they were able to offer customers exactly what they wanted. By avoiding the inventory issues that plagued competitors, Chevy ensured a smoother supply chain and prevented their cars from sitting around on dealer lots for too long. And the result? A stronger relationship between Chevy and their dealers, giving them a major strategic edge in a competitive market. But that wasn't all. Chevy's focus on adaptability took things to the next level. While other automakers stuck to rigid production schedules, Chevy worked closely with dealers to adjust inventory based on what was happening in specific markets. This flexibility allowed them to stay ahead of trends, keeping their dealerships profitable and engaged. The result was a partnership built on mutual respect and collaboration, helping Chevy maintain its dominance in the market. So, what does all this mean for the broader automotive landscape? Well, Chevy's smart approach has sent shockwaves throughout the industry. Their success has forced competitors like Ford and Stellantis to reevaluate their strategies. These brands are now backpedaling, realizing they may have gone too hard on the luxury vehicle push and overreached with their electrification plans. They're scrambling to adjust, often at the expense of their long-term goals and the identities they've built over decades. Take Stellantis, for example. They recently announced cuts to the production of their Ram 1500 Classic, signaling a significant shift in focus. This move underscores their struggle to meet consumer demand while also staying profitable. Similarly, Ford is reevaluating its approach, pulling back on high-end luxury models and shifting focus toward more mass-market vehicles to regain stability. These changes show that affordability is back on the table. Chevy has been championing this principle all along, and now it's clear that others are taking notice. By striking a balance between affordability and innovation, Chevy has reshaped the conversation about what it means to be successful in today's auto market. They've shown that a diverse, accessible lineup isn't just good for business. It's the key to long-term growth, even in an uncertain economic climate. Another interesting thing is that Chevy saw what consumers wanted, and they were way ahead of the curve. They didn't just listen to what people were saying, they anticipated what would make car buyers happy, and they totally reshaped the whole industry in the process. You know that feeling when you're driving a car and you think, wow, this is exactly what I needed? Well, that's no accident. It's Chevy understanding the game. Let's face it, the automotive world has never been more split than it is today. On one side, we've got those high-end luxury cars that get all the headlines. They've got all the bells and whistles, with futuristic tech and insane performance features that seem straight out of a sci-fi movie. But here's the catch. Not everyone can afford that luxury lifestyle. The cost of living is rising, and people are starting to get a little more selective when it comes to their purchases. They're thinking twice about dropping a chunk of change on a vehicle that'll burn through their savings just to impress on the road. And that's where Chevy comes in, standing firm right in the middle. They understood early on that the sweet spot was between affordability and quality. People don't want to compromise on what they get for their money, especially with how tight budgets are these days. Chevy saw that and went all in with models like the Trax and Trailblazer. These cars check all the boxes: reliable, practical, and easy on the wallet. They've become the go-to choices for buyers who want something that works well without stretching the budget too far. But here's the thing, Chevy didn't stop there. They also went the extra mile by offering mid-tier and premium options. Enter the Silverado and Tahoe, two vehicles that offer a little more punch in terms of power and features, but still sit comfortably in that reasonable price zone. It's not about luxury for the sake of luxury. Chevy knew that buyers still want a solid, stylish ride that gives them more without pushing their spending over the edge. They didn't just follow trends, they shaped them by understanding what people were really looking for: value. And that's something the competition has struggled to catch up with. Chevy didn't just meet expectations, they raised the bar. The result? The entire industry had to rethink their approach. They were playing catch-up, trying to figure out how to match Chevy's combination of reliability, affordability, and practicality. And it's no surprise that Chevy continues to dominate in this space. Their deep understanding of consumer behavior is what keeps them at the top. So, what does this mean for you? Chevy's success isn't just about making cars, it's about offering you more choices, better value, and a glimpse of a brighter future on the road. They're reshaping how we think about what a car should be, and they're doing it in a way that directly benefits you, the consumer. For you, this shift means a market that's way more in tune with what you actually want. If you're hunting for a budget-friendly compact SUV, a rock-solid gas-powered truck, or an electric vehicle that doesn't break the bank, Chevy's got you covered. They're focused on delivering options that balance affordability and quality, so you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. In a time when the cost of living is creeping up, Chevy's commitment to keeping their prices accessible is a total game changer. Models like the Trax and Trailblazer are perfect for everyday drivers who want a reliable, no-nonsense ride without draining their wallets. At the same time, if you're after something more premium, the Tahoe and Silverado offer a taste of luxury without diving into crazy high prices. But here's the thing, Chevy's influence isn't just limited to their own lineup. By setting new standards for affordability and innovation, they're shaking things up across the entire automotive industry. Competitors are being forced to play catch-up, which is great news for you because it means more choices, better features, and better pricing all around. It's the kind of healthy competition that benefits every driver on the road. If you've been thinking about jumping into the electric vehicle world, Chevy's thoughtful, measured approach is a refreshing alternative to the high-end luxury EVs some of their competitors are offering. Models like the Silverado EV and Equinox EV pack in practical features along with cutting-edge tech, making them more affordable and accessible options for those of us who want to embrace the future of driving without getting hit with sky-high prices. At the end of the day, Chevy isn't just shaking up the automotive market, they're changing your entire expectation of what it should be. Whether you're looking for something that's budget-friendly, reliable, or future-ready, Chevy is stepping up to make sure you don't have to settle. They're leading the charge, and the rest of the industry is scrambling to keep up. That's good for you because it means the bar is being raised, and you're going to see even better options moving forward. So, what do you think about all this? Do you think Chevy's focus on affordability and balanced innovation is the right approach? And what do you think the future holds for the automotive industry as a whole? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on the latest automotive insights. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest videos. While you're still here, click the video on your screen to see more interesting content like this one.